Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today's discussion. First, please introduce yourselves with name, course, and year.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is NURUL binti Muhammad Suhaini. I'm Bachelor of Usuluddin Year 2.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Narishka Fatimi. I'm from English Communication, Year 2.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Azim Al-Hakim bin Muhammad Syukri. I'm from Diploma Usuluddin.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Najmi Haziq bin Muhammad Basri. My course is Diploma Sejarah Data Madu Islam, first year.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. Today's discussion will focus on the role of streaming services and traditional television in modern society. There are no right or wrong answers. We are interested in hearing different perspectives and personal experiences. So feel free to respond to one another naturally, agree or disagree, and ask questions or build on someone else's ideas. Let's start by talking about our own viewing habits. Media consumption is something most of us engage with every day. So I'm curious to hear your experiences. Do you watch more streaming services or traditional television?
Personally, I think I spend much more time watching streaming services because they are probably more convenient because I can watch whatever I want whenever I have free time.
Yes, I would agree with that. I mostly use Netflix and Disney. I suppose the biggest advantage is that I don't have to wait for a program to air at a specific time.
I'm pretty much the same. Streaming fit my schedule better. If I'm busy during the day, I can still watch something later that night.
For me, convenience is definitely the main reason. Traditional television follow a schedule, while streaming allow viewers to choose exactly when they want to watch.
That's a really good point. Having control over the viewing experience seems important nowadays, doesn't it?
I think that's exactly what audience expect now. People are used to getting content immediately.
Although perhaps traditional television still appeals to some people, my parents still watch television news almost every evening.
That's true. My grandparents watch television regularly too. I don't think television has disappeared. It's just serving a different audience now.
Yes, I think I would agree with that. Maybe younger viewers prefer streaming while older generations remain comfortable with television.
That's an interesting observation, since viewing habits influence how organizations communicate with audiences. Now let's move on to advertising and audience reach. Do you think television advertisements are still effective today, or have online advertisements become more persuasive?
I think online advertisements are generally more effective because they can target specific audience. If I'm interested in sport, I will probably see sport-related advertisement.
I agree. Digital platform collect a lot of user data, so advertiser can reach the people most likely to be interested in a product.
That's definitely true. Online advertising seems very personal nowadays.
I agree as well. However, I wonder whether television advertisement still have some advantage, particularly for products that appeal to a wider audience.
They probably do. Large brands still advertise on television because it can reach a million of viewers simultaneously.
Exactly, event like sport tournament or national collaboration still attract large television audience.
That's a good point. Perhaps effectiveness depends on the target audience, doesn't it?
I would say so. If a company wants to reach a younger consumer, Online advertising is usually a better option. If they want mass to expose, television can still be useful.
I think that's quite balanced. Different platforms might serve different communication goals.
And I think cost matter too. Online advertising often give companies more flexibility with smaller budget.
Yes, that's true as well.
It sounds like everyone agrees that online advertising offers stronger targeting capabilities, while television still provides broad audience exposure. Now, let's talk about the content itself. Many people argue that streaming platforms produce more engaging content than traditional television. Do you agree with that statement?
Overall, yes, streaming platform invest heavily in original content and seem willing to experiment with different genre.
I agree. There is simple, more variety available. Viewers can find documentaries, international drama, reality show, or niches content quite easily.
I think that's true. However, perhaps television. Perhaps television still produce some high quality programs, especially new broadcasts and live events.
Yes, I will agree with that. Television may not offer the same variety, but it still provides content that many people trust.
That's fair. Live broadcasts are probably one the where television remain very strong.
Exactly. Some events feel more natural when they watch live, don't they?
Definitely, sport is the first example that's come to mind.
I suppose another advantage of streaming is the international content available. We can watch programs from many countries quite easily.
That's actually one of the biggest advantage. 20 years ago, most viewers only they access the local channel.
Yes, that's true.
Thank you. So, while streaming appears to dominate in terms of variety and accessibility, television still seems to retain strengths in live programming and trusted broadcasts. Let's consider another practical issue: cost and accessibility. Some people argue that streaming is more affordable, while others believe subscription services are becoming increasingly expensive. What do you think?
I think streaming can be affordable, especially when family members share subscription.
Yes, perhaps that's why many students prefer it.
Although subscription costs have definitely increased, many platforms now charge the more than they did a few years ago.
That's true. If someone subscribe to multi-service, the total cost can become quite high.
That's a good point. Sometimes I feel as though viewers need several subscriptions just to access all the content they want.
Exactly. I think many people overlook that issue.
At the same time, streaming still provide a lot of value because users can watch content whatever they want.
And unlike television, viewers don't have to sit through schedules programming.
Perhaps accessibility also depends on internet availability, doesn't it?
Yes, that's important consideration. Relevant internet access is not quite available everywhere.
That's an interesting perspective. Let's finish by discussing the future of television. Looking ahead, do you think traditional television will eventually disappear, or can it continue to exist alongside streaming services?
I do not think it will disappear completely. However, its role will probably become a smaller over time.
I agree. Television will likely adapt rather than vanish.
Yes, I think that's possible. Maybe television will focus more on live content and news coverage.
That seems quite likely, doesn't it?
Audience still value real-time information, especially during the major event.
And government and public organizations still use television to reach large audience quietly.
That's a really interesting point. I had not considered that perspective before.
Neither had I. It suggests television may continue to serve an important public function.
Exactly. Although I think streaming will remain the dominant platform for the entertainment.
I would probably agree with that.
Okay, thank you everyone for your thoughtful contributions. Okay, good evening everyone, and thank you for participating in today's discussion. First of all, could everyone please introduce yourselves first?
Hi, my name is Ilimai Sarah, and I'm from
Of course, and you.
Fuha Year 2 studying law.
Hello, my name is Nuraina Najha binti Azmi. I am a band student, already in third year and just finished my third year.
Okay.
Hello, I am Alif Nazimi from FKI student and study in Sukuting.
Hello, good evening. My name is Danish. I'm from FPP, Bachelor of Accountancy Year 1.
Okay, thank you everyone. Today we'll explore different perspectives on online versus face-to-face communication. There are no right or wrong answers, so feel free to share your opinions, respond to one another, and discuss your own experiences. To begin with a simple question, which form of communication do you use most frequently in your daily life, online or face-to-face?
So personally, I use online communication as often as I use face-to-face conversation, but I prefer a face-to-face conversation because I don't know what tone they are experiencing, that they are expressing to me from the WhatsApp. And especially when it comes to strangers, because I don't know them personally, so I might think that they are being angry or whatever. So, what about you guys?
I think as for me, I use definitely both method, face to face and online, because in this today's digital era, we cannot run away from texting our friend and so on and so forth. But I think the most method that I use is face to face communication because I talk with my friends every day in class and yeah.
So I think face-to-face communication is generally clear. You can instantly see how someone reacts and adjust your message if necessary.
Yes, that is one of the biggest advantages. Misunderstandings can be resolved much faster in person.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. I do tend to look at people's facial expressions or their, let's say, their body language or their tone when speaking to me, so I know how to match their energy.
Exactly. Sometimes a text message can sound completely different from what the sender intended.
That's true. Although I think online communication can still be very effective for sharing information quickly.
I agree with that. If you are simply exchanging information, online communication is usually more efficient.
But maybe it have to do with the purpose of the conversation, whereby some conversation it requires a more personal approach and some conversation requires a formal approach, so text might be better in some situation lah.
Yes, especially discussion involving emotion and complex issue.
Okay, it seems that everyone recognizes the convenience of online communication. Now let's move on to another important aspect of communication, relationships. Do you think strong friendships can be developed online or is face-to-face interaction necessary?
I think strong friendship can definitely develop online because many people spend years communicating online before meeting in person. For example, online dating nowadays and pen pal, you find friends online. But for me, I prefer friendship that is developed through face to face because it is more stronger. You feel closer to that person.
I agree with that point about face-to-face friendship is more personal and what so on. But I think online friendships can be meaningful too, especially in like fandom settings where you meet a lot of people across the globe. So it can be quite meaningful. I agree with her point also, sure. But
Then they can be meaningful, but I think face-to-face interaction usually creates stronger connection.
I feel the same way. Spending time with someone in person allows you to understand them better.
Well, that is understandable. However, perhaps online communication can help people to maintain friendship when distance is a problem. For example, like me, my best friends are away from me, one in Kedah and one in Selangor. So, through online, I can get closer to them. So, I think it depends on the situation and context too.
That's true. Technology definitely makes it easier to stay connected.
exactly, because I have friends studying in different states, one in Ipoh, three in Selangor. So they are my high school friends, and I consider them my best friends. So it's very easy for me to actually maintain the friendships, long distance friendship, if you will, through WhatsApp, so on. So I think face to face friendship is important, but maintaining your existing friendship to through online is also important.
Yes.
That's a good example.
Actually, that's something many students experience nowadays.
Yes, that's true.
So I think we can agree that strongest relationship involve both methods, don't they?
I would agree with.
I would agree with that. Online communication helps maintain relationships, while face-to-face interaction strengthens them.
I see. That's an interesting conclusion. Now, let's discuss a feature that is often absent from digital communication, nonverbal communication. Many communication scholars argue that facial expressions, body language, eye contact, and tone of voice are essential components of effective communication. How important do you guys think of these nonverbal cues?
So I think they're extremely important because they help us interpret meaning more accurately.
Exactly. Sometimes a person's facial expressions tells you more than their words.
Yeah, I agree. So nonverbal cues, it seems to provide more emotional information that words cannot communicate, especially when you are in a very emotional phase of the conversation. Eyes does the word lah.
Yes, definitely, because they help us to understand and see whether someone is happy, nervous, frustrated, or excited because you can see them from their face or maybe their tone of voice, nonverbal things like that.
And that's why misunderstanding happen more frequently online.
That is definitely possible to be happening online.
Yeah, so although emojis might help a little, but it can't really grasp the facial expressions of a human. So um, it can provide context lah, tapi. But
I agree. Emojis can provide context, but they remain limited.
Well, that is a really good point. They are useful, they work, but they don't communicate emotion as accurately as real facial expression, do they?
Not even close.
maybe video calls can be a better alternative because we can still observe the visual cues if provided the internet that is fine lah and the person's face is not blurry and so on.
That's true. Video calls probably reduce some of the communication barriers found in the text messaging.
It appears that everyone values non-verbal communication and believes it plays an important role. Next, many students experience online learning during the pandemic and continue to use digital platforms in their studies today. Based on your experiences, are online classes as effective as physical classes?
I think it just depends on the student. Some people they are very independent and they adapt well to online learning. However, some others, they are less dependable on the online too because they prefer face-to-face learning.
Yes, I would agree with that. Perhaps different learning styles influence effectiveness. As for me personally, I have been through 3 semesters learning online, and it was a hell of a ride. And I don't prefer that, honestly.
Yeah, I still prefer physical class because interaction feels more natural.
Same here. Students can participate more actively when they are physically present.
That's a fair point. However, online learning also provide us with flexibility, especially for students who are managing responsibilities such as part-time, taking care of their elderlies, or just 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 that they are not privileged enough to be in the campus to study full time.
I agree, flexibility is definitely one of its strengths.
I also think that online platforms make learning resources more accessible because nowadays we have a lot of apps that can help in education more. Yeah.
That is actually something many people overlook.
Yes, exactly.
So maybe the ideal approach here would be a hybrid of those two, like face to face and online. So students can choose which way they prefer, but that would require a lot of amendments towards the current education system.
A hybrid model.
Yes, that makes sense, right?
Yes.
That's an interesting observation. Now, let's conclude by discussing the future of communication. Technology continues to evolve rapidly, especially with developments in artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and digital platforms. How do you think communication will change in the future?
In the future, I think people will probably communicate online even more than they do now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Technology seems to becoming more integrated into our daily lives by day. It's just like more, how to say, you cannot do anything without having any online apps. There is so many apps in my phone right now, you have no idea.
I think digital communication will continue growing because it's convenient and efficient.
And businesses increasingly rely on digital communication as well.
And perhaps artificial intelligence will also influence how people communicate. Maybe you can just, in the future, you can just open any app and you say something, and then the message will immediately be sent to another person, just like that, in the blink of an eye. That's crazy, right?
I mean, yeah, that's an interesting idea. Even now we have the future in Siri, or let's say Google what? Google Help, something.
Gemini.
Gemini. When you like the Android version of
Yeah.
Siri, you can just say like, "Hi, can you send this message to this person?" But I would argue that Siri is so Siri is just, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No, see, I'm not even calling her, but she's answering me. So yeah, maybe technology would becoming more integrated into our daily lives, and I'm scared that human beings will become lazier day by day
Yeah.
because of technology. But that's a different topic altogether, lah.
It's already happening in some application.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
I think face-to-face communication will remain important.
I feel the same way. I value human interactions a lot. I would take talking just about anything with my friends over talking to a machine that doesn't even know, that doesn't even have a face or emotions. So emotions are very important, people.
Definitely, technology can support communication, but it probably won't replace human connection completely.
I will agree with that because in the future, even if we have more advanced technology for communication, I will use that definitely, but it won't be replaced with face-to-face communication.
Exactly.
Yes.
I agree.
Okay, thank you everyone for your thoughtful contributions. Today's discussion highlighted both the strengths and limitation of online and face-to-face communication. Rather than replacing one another, it appears that both forms of communication will continue to coexist. Thank you again for participating in today's discussion.